Oh, what a tangled web we weave when at first we practice to deceive. Sir Walter Scott. And this is what happens, guys. This is what happens. Now, pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, okay? I'm battling this cold here, but I got to get this out of the way before Wendy Adelson, all right? I'm going to tell you now the story and the real truth of Ken URKER. The real truth, okay? Not this fake shit they've been fooling all of you with, okay? I first started to lay the foundation, you guys, on my last video here over on YouTube, okay? First of all, on YouTube here, if you guys would please like, subscribe, and share this out, please. Okay. I laid yesterday, you guys, the foundation. I told you about the White Hat organization with how we do things, how we gather information, and all of that. Okay. So if you haven't seen that yet, go see that over on YouTube. I don't even have it on TikTok. So you have an idea of what we're doing and how I get this information. And again, I guess I'll say this again. None of these things are theories. None of these things I'm guessing or figured out, or we know this to be true, or I wouldn't say it at all. I don't have to discuss Ken, but everyone's been wanting to know about Ken. And so I'm going to tell you finally, okay? I'm tying up the loose ends with Gypsy so I can move on to Wendy Adelson, all right? Move on to more evil and crazier things, because that's what she is. Just wait, you guys. Just wait. All right. Ken URKER. Now, you're going to see how this came around on Gypsy, okay? You'll see. You'll see how this works, okay? It's terrible how they do it. These Luciferians, they don't give a shit about anyone's feelings. You guys are Satan worshipers. They're evil. They're deceptive. They don't care about anyone. They will step on anyone in their way to get what they want. The end always justifies the means. They don't care who they have to destroy, who they have to kill, who they have to lie about and put in jail. It doesn't matter. They don't care. All right? And this is the real truth with Ken URKER. The real truth. Okay. Ken URKER's father, I've told you, is very wealthy. Okay. They have a lot of real estate and a lot of things like that in Florida, but he's really Turkish. He's got a lot of things going on with shipping and money. He's got a lot of things going on with a lot of different things. Okay. Some nefarious things too, but until I find that out for sure, for real, I'm not going to say anything about it, because this guy does have the resources to sue the piss out of me. And if I do tell a lie on him, so I'm not going to say anything again, because I have to make sure. But some very nefarious things that cat's up to. Now, here's the deal. This I do know. His name is Tafer. Ken URKER's father is a high-ranking Freemason. Okay? If you guys don't know about Freemasons, I'll make a video on that at one point. That's a big, deep rabbit hole. But please understand. Okay. Once you get to the 30th degree and above, 30, 31, 32, 33, at that point, that is when they tell you, okay, this is a religion. Our God is Lucifer. We're Luciferians. Before that, you don't know. Everyone below that, first degree, second degree, all that, it's just a service club, and they do good charitable work. See, that's how the devil does it, right? On the front, oh, it's good. It's just a charity club, and they do good things and all that, because, and you only get to know what they need you to know, okay? You only move up levels or degrees when you're trusted and they come to you. You don't ever ask, hey, can I up a degree? Can I go? No. And they'll let people get as high as they whatever. But you're not going to get to 30 or above unless you're trusted and you're all the way in, because that's when they're going to show you all. Now, on the way up, all the degrees, they have rituals, and they get weirder and creepier and crazier as you go, and more satanic as they go. The rituals to up the next level, right? There's so much about Freemasons, guys. I can't go all there with this. But just know, he's a high-ranking one, 30-something degrees. And above that, they know that they're Luciferians and they worship Satan at that point. Again, and they do rituals and they hurt children. They do all that shit. I'm telling you. Okay? Now, see, that's how he does it. The lower levels, it's all, and if you ask him, oh yeah, Freemasons, we just gather and talk about business and help each other out with, and that's what they do. They get together and hang out and they help each other with their businesses, and, you know, and they do charitable shit and stuff. But the high rank ones are up to the no good, and they know everything. That's what he is. Okay? So, all right. We all know Ken is a homosexual. Nothing wrong with that. He was born that way. I'm smart enough to know your sexual orientation, what you're attracted to. You cannot help. You are born that way. You're attracted to what you're attracted to. Okay? However, his parents don't feel that way. He's an embarrassment to them. And they can say what they want about, oh, his ex-girlfriends, this and that. He's gay, and they're ashamed of it. It's disgusting, despicable to be that way with your son, but that's how they are. And that Raina is no better. And this I'll say right now. They ain't allegedly or none of that shit. They are both transphobe, homophobe, racist bigots. Both of them. Raina and him. I don't care that they're divorced. They're the same. They're cut from the same cloth. They're both disgusting. I wouldn't be surprised if she's a Eastern Star, the women Freemasons. I wouldn't be surprised if she is, but I haven't found that out yet. All right, so here's the deal. He's embarrassed of his gay son, right? So how about this? We need someone to be an actor to be Gypsy Rose's fucking boyfriend. Because remember, as soon as she sacrifices her mother, guys, she was in. That's it. She's protected. They're doing things for her. They're going to set her up for her fame and fortune that she gets. All right. So Ken URKER starts to write to her. Now remember, Gypsy doesn't know. This is how evil they are. Gypsy doesn't know. She thinks this dude's into her. And she likes him. And I don't know what happened to Ken URKER the last 10 years or so, but if you look at the pictures of him when he was in prison with her way back when, he was a good-looking dude. He was a handsome dude. If he was, I don't know what happened to him. Look at the pictures. So she was all into this dude. For real. And he was tricking her. Then it came to the point where they said, listen, she's going to get out. We can get her out the earliest when she does her 85% at 8.5 years. But she has to go home to someone that she's married to. And that looks good on paper. And so they wanted him to marry her. And he'd have to marry her in prison, right? And he said, absolutely not, I'm not doing that. And I don't blame him. So we know Ken's got some scruples, right? He says, I'm not doing that. I'll play her boyfriend and play the part and all this shit because they're paying him. Handsomely, I'm sure. But I'm not going to just marry someone for an acting thing. I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing that. And I'm certainly not marrying someone in prison. And I really don't blame him there. How trashy is that? Now, before we go any further, stop. Again, I'm going to ask you to use your critical thinking skills, the good sense that God and Granny gave to you. Does Ken URKER, the arrogant way he acts and behaves, he comes from a very wealthy family, does he seem like the type that would just out of nowhere start I think I'll look for my mate in prison. I think I'm going to start writing to women in prison to find the woman I love. Well, let me take this one girl that killed her own mother. Maybe one day she'll get out and I can marry her. Someone that's... Think about that. Ken's snooty gay ass. I'm not being rude. I'm not trying to be like that, but think about it. He's so prissy and this and that. Do you really think he would do that? Of course he wouldn't do that. And then people say, well, Raina, his mom had him to do it. First of all, he would have told his mother, fuck off, are you crazy? And secondly, do you really think Raina would set up her son to potentially fall in love with someone that killed their fucking mother so when she gets out one day, maybe they can get married and I can be her mother-in-law? Does that make any goddamn sense to you? No. It's fake. And now, this is what I want you to do. I don't really like reading through her private emails from prison. I don't think that's right. I know it's public record and it's legal and whatever, but to me, that's her writing to private people, and I just don't know. But since they're out there, I want you to go read them again. Read the emails between Gypsy and Ken through the lens of, now that you know, Ken's only acting and Gypsy's for real into the dude. Read them through that lens now, and you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Go into him going, okay, Ken's just acting like he likes her because this is a job, and she's, right? So then the plan was, since he wouldn't marry her, then he splits off. Okay, we're done. We're split off. Knowing damn well they were going to use, they didn't know who Ryan was yet. That's when Mike Stanfield told her, listen to me. Listen to me. You got these guys writing. You got to find the most easiest one to manipulate, a big guy that's not had any much luck with the ladies that you can manipulate to fall in love with you, because he has to marry you in prison, or you're not going to be able to go home at your 85%. You're not going to be able to. You're going to have to wait a little bit longer before you can go home, because her parents didn't fucking want her. Okay, so that's what they did. That's how disgusting these Luciferians are. First, they trick Gypsy and thinking this guy loves her, and then dumps her like that, right? And then they tell Gypsy to turn around. I guess what comes around goes around, though, right? Tells her, now you set up a guy to fall in love with you and trick him just so you can get out a little bit early out of prison. Because listen, guys, it was her first time in prison. At 85%, because she was a violent crime, they give you a way to get come up for parole. They should have denied her parole for all her infractions. But in 6 months, they would have had to let her out on parole anyway, and she would have just done a year on parole, not 18 months, because the law in Missouri is your first time in prison, they cannot max you out. They cannot make her do 100% because it's her first time. It's first offense, guys. So what should have happened is they should have denied her parole, and then 6 months later she would have came up. And no matter what it said, they would have let her out. Okay? But that's neither here nor there. She used Ryan because he looked good on paper as a teacher, and he would agree. He was dumb enough to fall for her and marry this dumb bitch in prison. It worked perfectly well. And then they just dumped off on him like that and ruined his whole life and made him look like a fool to the whole world. And they don't even care. With zero compunction, they did it. And then all of a sudden, now Ken's back on the scene because he's an actor, guys. He is an actor, and that's what he's there for. He is a paid handler. He's a handler, just like Bree is. They're paid to try to keep this bitch in line. Let me give you some examples. Kanye West, handler was Kim Kardashian. She's such a nasty whore, she decided to have 4 children with him on a job. Okay? Then his new wife, Bianca Censori, she's a handler too. Hailey Bieber is Justin's handler. You think the Baldwin brothers, her dad and all them, they act like they're Christians. They're all devil worshippers. They're all Luciferians. She is too. Every fucking one of them. They named their son Jack. All right. There's plenty of them I can go through. Corey Gamble is with the CIA, and he's Kris Jenner's handler. I can go on and on. Ken is her handler. He was hired now to play her boyfriend so she can stay with him and try to rein her. But he's not doing a good job. Him and Bree are not doing a good job. They can't control this dumb bitch at all. Okay? She's a problem. I can tell you that. All right? So this is the story on Ken. This is the real story on Ken. I don't care whatever else they tell you. They're going to throw out to the public what they want you to believe. They really want you to believe this is some stupid love story that went down, that this arrogant homosexual decided, who was good looking at the time, a good looking homosexual that comes from a very wealthy family that acts all well-to-do and like he's better than everybody, decided that I got to find love somewhere and I'm going to just write to women in prison. That doesn't make sense. If something doesn't make sense, it's because it's not true. And I'll see you in the next video.